one of Eminem's most emotional tracks, Stan described a fan of Eminem who was actually legitimately crazy, who believed Eminem was crazy, and ended up killing himself in the end. The story represents how Eminem doesn't want people to actually think the Slim Shady character, all of his dark desires and drug use and all that, he doesn't want people to imitate that. He's afraid of that. And it really reflects the purpose of the Marshall Mathers LP, which is the album it came out for. Now, you may be wondering, what does that have to do with the video that I'm talking about? Absolutely nothing. I'm just trying to avoid copyright by using fair use. A great tactic where you just criticize things and you get away with it. So what am I actually talking about today? I'm reviewing a game, Lineage II Revolution. You might have seen a few ads about it. I mean, it was mostly relevant around a few weeks ago. I'm a bit late to the party, but I'm lazy. I was going to do it when it was more relevant, but I'm terrible at these kinds of things. So, let me get on with the actual review. Now let's first start with the settings and all that. So, as you can see, here's the main menu with the title right over the top middle title of the game developer over the top left. So here we have the settings. Now you got the frame rate, which can be from lowest, low, normal to high, and the graphics quality. By the way, the frame rate when you change the graphics quality, frame rate, and resolution quality, when you change that, you must restart the game to actually indicate the change. Other than that, the other ones you can change without doing that, like max numbers, and all that, which the higher it is, the more taxing it is on your phone, and I don't know how good my phone is, but I know I wanted frame rate to be high, graphics and quality to be normal, so that's what I went with, and I think it could have been a bit better, and they could have made it to where you didn't have to restart, but I mean, come on, it's a mobile game, like, the fact of the matter is, the fact that they have that, and they have graphics where that's required, which you will see, this isn't, the graphics that you may have seen, those weren't faked, and that's probably one of the best parts about this game. But anyways, yeah, so here's the reset, and the reset takes a while, like a long while. Now, as far as language, they have about 9, 11 languages, something about around that point. They have, now we have servers for North America. Now you have the Windowwood, and there's 4 for each of those. So there's overall 12 servers, and I like how they kind of organized it, because you also have regions, so you can change the region and certain servers for the region. So make sure you can contact your friends, make sure that you're on the same server by just saying, all right, here's my region, and it's this one in this number. This Aiden, Gearin, or Windowwood, and then you say the number, and that should work really well. There's also a recommended, which I didn't like the recommended. It was crowded, but I kind of went with it, I think. I don't know why it recommends what it does. I think it's connection mostly, but the fact that there's plenty of servers, and they're not, I mean, obviously, given it's an MMO, they're not going to have one server. I mean, that's an obvious. If they would have put it all in one server, that would have been, first of all, crazy. You would have never been able to find your friends, the people you actually want to play with. Alright, so then there's all these files that need to be downloaded, and it takes a while, like a long while. So, I'm going to get on to the next part, the cutscenes. I skipped the cutscenes in the gameplay I had. The cutscenes are fully voice acted, which is great. And they're fully 3D. There's some nice camera angles. The animation itself isn't too good, but it's about what you would actually expect from an MMO that you would play on your computer. This is actually, as far as that being an MMO, this is about World of Warcraft quality. The graphics quality, even just a tad bit better. Just as far as animation and cutscenes, it's about the same you would see from other MMOs that you would find about 6 years ago, which is really nice. It's very nice. But load times, you gotta download the game, and then you gotta do an in-game download. I just remember what this was. Sorry, I got this footage like 2 weeks ago. My bad. I'm terrible. I'm terrible with keeping up with schedules and actually staying on top of things. I'm sorry. Also, I'm sick, so if you hear me sniffling,
you're just gonna
Now
have
let's
to
first
deal
start
with
with the
so here we go.
settings
Here's the
and
actual
all that.
beginning.
So as you can see, here's the main menu with the title right over the.
I think I
clock,
said this earlier
top,
before.
middle,
I might not
title.
have. I
Of
had
the
to do a
game
couple
developer over the top left.
tapes
So here we
and
have
my
the
mind's kinda-
settings. Now you got the frame rate, which
the
can be
cutscenes
from
are
lowest,
fully
low,
voice
normal, to
acted.
high.
The beginning
And
cutscene
graphics
has
quality,
a lot better animation
by the
quality,
way,
but most of them
the frame rate
like,
when you change the
kind of stiff,
graphics quality,
moving, and the
frame rate,
camera angles
and
kinda
resolution
still.
quality.
Like,
When you
like,
change that, you
on,
must restart the game to actually
like see. There's some
indicate
cool
the
stuff
change.
that happens. Like they'll give you some nice eye
Other
candy
than that,
too.
the other
There are a few things in that aren't cutscenes that are fully voice acted, but most of them are just people saying the same line, same few lines when you talk to them. So the combat's very simple. You kind of can just hold the button. I'm tapping it here, but you can literally just hold the button and you'll be attacking. And then you have 5 ability slots. So you can have 5 different abilities. And to be honest, the early on abilities, they're like basically interchangeable. Like only one of the abilities I think does anything useful, like as far as like a stun. At least for the mage. Like there's probably the sword you were using. I used a mage because I just wanted the most damage dealing guy. And I felt that was probably the most like glass cannon like class I could get. So that's what I went with. I went with the glass cannon. So as you can see, you have 5 abilities. Yeah. Oh, excuse me. So yeah, you got skills. They all do. I think the sword ones are have more variety and more. They do different things as far as area, and you can do a bit more AOE stuff. As far as what I actually have, it's mostly just stuff in a straight line for the mage, and you may see that in the gameplay later. But yeah, this tutorial's a very basic one, and it's kind of just like, hey, use these abilities. See, now you got the rare skill, and it's like, oh, it's the really good one. For some reason, it recharges really fast. Once you get those last 2 skills, they recharge very slowly. You can only use them like once per battle. If you have a chance to use them twice in a battle, that's a long battle. They take like a minute to recharge. And then once again, you got that, but I skipped it because, come on, like, you guys can learn it for yourself. And then you got more cutscenes and cutscenes and cutscenes. Person on boat. I don't know why they're on a boat. I didn't care. Now we got the character customization. And to be honest, it's a bit lackluster. You have 4 different races. So you have the human. He's obviously the most balanced. So they each have a cutscene. This is the elf. It pretty much recommends bow, I think, for that one, but you can choose different styles for each one. Next, you have the dark elf, which I'm pretty sure is meant for assassin. And yeah, that's one thing. Also, another thing, each race only has one possible gender. So it's kind of weird, and for that reason there was a pretty cancerous chat that was going on. Yeah, the world chat, it's very cancerous, I will say. But anyways, yeah, you only have one gender for each person, all right? So let's say I forget who I chose here, but I'm just going over each one. They all have different specifications. They all have different things that they are best at. I probably should have chosen the regular elf because they have the most magic power, but I don't know. I just decided to go with dark elf. I remember that's who I chose. Alright, so then you have the classes. Now you have the 3 main classes. Rogue. I'm going with these abilities. So you see what your starting abilities are if you click on the bottom. So you have like Life Leech there, and then you have... Oh my gosh, why am I spending so much time? Alright, so you have that, and there's animations and whatnot, and I'm just terrible at understanding everything. Like, the bottom ability shows what the beginning abilities for that class are. As you can see, some of them have more abilities than others. The one class had 4. This class has only 2. In each one, you can change the weapon for each class, so you can kind of change it up a bit. You get different starting gear for each one. I went with Mystic, and each class levels up into 2 different classes which do different things. which is pretty interesting, pretty nice. Um, you can choose different things, like the rogue. You can decide to go with a bow or just blades, kind of an assassin type character. Then you got each of these different ones, and they look really cool. But they all have different specific things they do, which is much better, obviously, for party play. You got different classes. All the classes are basically the same, except for the special ones. The special ones different. I didn't realize this when I played, but the special ones, each race has different special classes they can level up into. So that's something that you should keep in mind. You might want to check that out. Look down that right side of the class. Think long term. That's what I would do, because eventually you're going to reach that level 30, or at least if you play it consistently and you don't have better games to play like I do. I will say that ahead of time, it did not keep me away from more traditional games. Path of Exile is really good, and honestly, this game couldn't take me away from it. So hopefully I'll actually go into customizing the character himself soon. I'm just waiting. I'm not editing this. I'm too lazy for that. Alright, so here we go. So you have the 3 classes you can select. Warrior, Rogue, Mystic. And there's 3 hairstyles and 3 previews. That's just... No, there's no customization. That is not an RPG. That's a huge knack off of it. You can... Basically, you have about a 10% chance of coming across someone whose character looks exactly like you and is the exact same thing, if I'm remembering this right. It's about 1/9 of a chance. Like, that's small. Well, 1/27th. Alright, it's a lot smaller than I said it is. It's like a 3% chance, really. But that's too high of a chance. Excuse my insolence as far as the voice recording. I'm sorry. So now, I'm actually going to go down my list. So when I started this, I had to start up some gameplay. Excuse that. So let me get into this. So the next part I'm going to say is that the combat,
Dark elves specialize.
it's very basic, like I said, and the spells, the different abilities, they have like a loot system. Like, you have to get them through loot, and they're not easy to get. Like, you have to get scrolls, and it's a very large grind to actually get them. You have to dedicate yourself for a few days, and I played like the game for like one day, just like going ham on it. It didn't really retain me, to be honest. I stayed one day, and I had nothing else to do that day, and I decided I might as well play the game. The world, the open world, as I was saying, it's not as open as advertised. Like, there's not that much. It's basically open, and there's different things you can do, but there's no like side quests, there's no like reason to explore, there's no secrets. I mean, that's not, if you don't have that, it's not an open world in my book. And yes, I'm hitting my paper. Yeah, the XP grind, the missions and the dungeons and all that, that's the only way you can really get good XP. Just grinding on animals and that you find, or enemies in a group, that's not going to be doing anything, like, at all. Like, it's not going to be doing anything for you. But it can be sped up with microtransactions. It is a free to play game, so that's fair enough. I honestly don't know how long you can go before, you know, the inevitable, hey, your progress is going to get slowed down. But I don't know, maybe they made it to where you can play legitimately without getting slowed down, and you can just play like that. But I really doubt it. Like, they gotta make money somehow, and it's not gonna be just cosmetics. And as far as challenge, the main quest, if you just stay along the path of the main quest, it will be extremely easy. You could just let it play for you. It would not be a challenge whatsoever. If you have a problem with the main quest, just going along with the main quest, do a couple of the dungeons on the side, level up a bit extra, you shouldn't have a problem at all. You don't even have to play them. That's another thing. There is an autoplay feature. Like, right there where you see mission, the main mission button. Right now I'm going through loot, and there's a lot of loot. The loot systems, there's a lot. But you can autoplay, and that's the thing. You can literally just let the game play for you for most of the missions. Some of the dungeons you have to do manually, but most of it you can just sit back and relax and play a actually good game while it plays for you, except every now and then you gotta actually click the button to start the mission again. As far as the loot system, there's a system basically where you can take little loot and use it to level up good loot. You can take bad loot, level up good loot. I think that's good because you don't have to rely on getting a good gear. All gear, even the worst gear, you could, if you grind it enough, you could get it to be a high tier level of gear. It would take a long time, but you can do it. It's possible. As far as, yeah, if you can also, out of the loot boxes, you can get high tier loot. I have like an SR armor, I think it is. And I basically did nothing. Like, I should not have SR armor already, but I do. Just because of a good thing. So, high tier loot, it's about getting lucky, and eventually you'll have all A's. Like, not too far into the game. Like, about level 30, you should have it. As far as PvP, it's decent. I mean, it's not forced to be automatic, and if you do have some stun locking stuff, whoever gets the stun locks in there first and does that the most efficiently is gonna win. And so, like, you get a bit of an advantage by making sure you actually know what your abilities do. But it's basically just a spam fest. Who deals the most damage per second and whatnot. And it's basically just who has the better character. I mean, there's not really that much skill. There's no real dodging you can do. It's just who's got the better character. Which I guess is how it should be in an RPG. So, I can see that. The world chat is cancerous. It's like extremely cancerous. There was a person getting called a FAG. Sorry, I'm trying to avoid copyright or getting struck down because we got to keep our history clean here on FSD Gaming just in case we ever go big. We got 37 subs right now, so it's growing. So I just want to say that they got called that because they were playing with the girl character. Now, the thing is, as I said earlier, you cannot change your class, your gender for a class. That is a problem because it started that kind of argument, and it was very political. I suggest just putting it down and not looking at it. In fact, you might be able to see some world chat action going on when I'm done with my loot. There's a lot of loot. You can just spend a ton of time on the loot system. I mean, especially when you're just starting to get to know it. As far as guild play, there are guilds. It's a free... Usually with these online games, there's a guild and whatnot. There might be some death with it. There's, like, sieges and whatnot. I don't know how these work. They might just be, like, attack these people. But there might be death, but I don't know, because I don't have friends who play the game, so... But I know from other games, it's basically a contest to see which guild spends the most money, and that's usually who wins out. Overall, to finish up everything, sorry that my footage doesn't have that much spice to it. It's better than most free mobile games in graphics and gameplay. You know, I like action RPGs. Path of Exile, which I mentioned earlier, is one of my favorite games to play right now, and it's an action RPG, and it's really fun. You guys should check it out. It's free to play. It's on Xbox, I know. I don't know if it's on PlayStation. And it's on PC, obviously. But yeah, that game, I love action RPGs, and the gameplay I like, and the graphics is far beyond many things that I've seen as far as games in this on mobile. So that's a really impressive feat, and it's legitimately good graphics. And as far as MMOs go, this is on par with a lot of MMOs. You put it on a computer, you made the gameplay a bit more in depth. This would be a good MMO RPG if you made it a few years back. This is great graphics as far as I'm concerned. It's definitely worth a try. You know, it might not be your thing. You might like it more than me. I don't really stick to games all that often. There's a few games I stick to one game at a time, and oftentimes I play it so much that I get worn out. I played it all day for that one day, and I already got worn out. But that's just kind of my problem, and I had things I'd rather do at the time. That's just me. That's kind of how I am. I'm weird like that. I can't stick to anything. And I usually don't play anything too competitive, so don't expect me to stick to COD too much. And also, it's probably not fun to play in the late game without cash. The grind probably gets extremely rough, but I don't know, but it's probably like that. It's just one thing that you gotta keep in mind. So overall, good game. I would check it out if I were you. I know the advertising is overboard, but they're not lying to you. They just are bad at advertising. They're not as good as the Mobile Strike team. Or well, it's a game that made. They're the people that made Legend 27, so they know what they're doing. But these guys don't. You got to make your things memes to get mobile games going. But yeah, that's my Lineage 2 review. I'm not giving it a number. I'm just going to say that's my overall thoughts. I think it's actually a legitimate good game, and that's coming from a guy who's not actually funded by the people. That's mainly why I did this. So I hope you were informed on some of the things about the game. I kind of left out a few things. Like, there's just a lot thrown at you. I'll say that. There's a lot of mail and stuff to collect. I'll say that. There's a lot to keep up with, and there's always stuff thrown at you. You can, at the very least, always inventory manage, so. But there's no real way to say if it's good or not unless you start playing it. So I suggest if you have enough room on your phone, if you have Wi-Fi, if you don't, then you might as well just forget about it. It's such a big game. But if you do have the ability to get a game like this, you have Wi-Fi and all that, I would suggest getting it. It's something that would definitely keep your appetite satiated on the road. It's a really good game. I just honestly don't have the time for mobile games. So overall, I'll see you guys in the next one.